Hello everyone, and welcome back to Age Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age Sigmar. Now in this video we're going to be returning back to the Flesh Eater Court, and of course we're going to be looking at the Crypt Infernal Courtiers. Now before I go into them, firstly, just in case you guys don't know this, these are basically the Courtier heroes for the Crypt Flayers. So these are the guys bringing back your Crypt Flayers apart from the Vargol Courtier, who we'll get to in a later video. But so essentially, if you're not taking your Crypt Flayers in your list, there's no reason to have the Crypt Infernal in there as far as I am aware. Just put something else in there that's more suited for the units in your army. But if you do like Crypt Flayers, which I certainly do, I talked about in the last video with the Crypt Flayer video, quite long in depth for how I really like Crypt Flayers and how I use them and all those sorts of things. If you like that, then you're going to want to have one of these guys in your list. And if you get over the whole sort of, 5 dragon list, or whatever people are taking these days, Crypt Flayers are really a good unit. In my opinion, they are the best unit the Flesh Eater Courts have. Right, so firstly we're going to look at their lore, and then we're going to go into their rules. So Crypt Infernal Courtiers are created when a Crypt Flayer has performed a heroic deed that the king deems worthy of a reward. A banquet is held where the individuals so honoured are fed the flesh of an undead dragon. Their guts mutated with agonising pain, allowing these predators of the skies to exhale lethal clouds of noxious fumes, much like the beasts they have eaten. These flying courtiers lead the Dead Watch, the abhorrent Ghoul's king's personal bodyguard. Gifted with exceptional senses, they can detect enemies from leagues away, identifying their victims by scent alone, and swooping off into the night to bring back gory prizes for their Dark Master. When an abhorrent Ghoul King rides to war astride his Terrorgeist or Zombie Dragon, Crypt Infernal Courtiers often soar at his side, vying for their lord's attention, screaming summons to their kin. The Courtiers lead daring strikes against the most formidable foes, rising high above the battlefield before folding their wings and plunging into the heart of the enemy lines. When mouths are dripping with gore and juices of bursts of organs, their talons are covered with chunks of flesh and shattered pieces of bone. Only those most armoured of foes can survive being skewered by the Infernal Courtier's hooked claws. Yet these victims are simply carried back to the abhorrent Ghoul King, presented to him as prisoners. In his madness, the Ghoul King may order an Infernal Courtier to interrogate such a prisoner, which as a practice amounts to his winged creature opening its captive skull and devouring what lies inside. Okay, so that's in Crypt Infernal Courtier, their lore. A lovely bit of lore there, lovely. I think, they make great interrogators from what I can tell. Really good at doing sort of like interviews and all those sorts of things to get as much information as they can from their prisoners. And what is quite interesting here for me, anyway, personally, is I thought the Crypt Infernal, or not the Crypt Infernal, just the Crypt Flayers, even became Crypt Flayers because they drank the blood of a zombie dragon. But it's interesting to see now that's the Crypt Infernal Courtiers that have got that through the zombie dragon. So it's quite nice. So by that point, they've drunk the blood of a Terrorgeist and eaten the flesh of a zombie dragon. So yeah, they've had all the works done to them pretty much. Okay, so going into their rules now. So firstly, to talk about what they are in the game. So they are a leader, of course. They're going to cost you 120 points, which I believe is 20 points cheaper than they used to be. I think they used to be 140, which is very nice to see. And their rules have changed a bit as well, so it's definitely worth looking over it. And they've changed more than, simply the Crypt Haunter had changed for the Cryptos. The Crypt Infernal Courtier has changed a bit more. So, firstly, looking at the description, it says a Crypt Infernal Courtier is a single model armed with Foetid breath and skewering talons. So, we're looking at stat wheel. So, we've got a 12-inch movement, a 4+ save, a bravery 10, and 6 wounds. So, all this hasn't changed from what it used to be for the new book. But just going over it, 12-inch movement is good, it's the same as the Flare, so we expect that a 4+ save is good. Same thing I said for the Crypt Haunter Courtier. A 4+ save is very good because, firstly, these guys aren't wearing armour. Like I said, as much as they think they're wearing armour, they're not. So 4+ save is good. And also, these guys, you really, really need to keep them alive. Especially the Crypt Infernal Courtier, as he can't heal naturally by himself off his War Scroll. So you really, really need a good save for him. So it's nice that he's got that there. Bravery 10, we expect that, and 6 wounds, yes, we expect that, because it's the same for the Crypt Infernal Courtier as well. So then going into their weapons, so the first one is a missile weapon. So this is Photic Breath. So we've got a 9-inch range or 1 attack, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, D3 damage. So if I was going to compare that to the shooting attack what the crit flares get now, which is, you know, the 2d6 roll, and the difference between that and the enemy's bravery characteristic, they take mortal wounds, but you're subtracting 2 to that roll if that enemy unit's not within 3 inches of you. If you want more details on that, check out the flare video. If I was to compare those two attacks, I think I'd rather it just have a flare attack, because it's got 10-inch range as well. So yeah, so for when you're deep striking and all that sort of thing, I think I'd rather just have a normal flare attack. But, you know, whatever, it's got a shooting attack, so I can't complain. So, going into their melee weapons, so they've only got 1. This is Skewing Talon, so they've got a 1-inch range, 5 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, and 2 damage. So, essentially, this is a step up from the Crit Flare attack, because it's got an extra attack, and it's doing 2 damage. So, 1 and 5 attacks here. Got a rend to it as well, and doing 2 damage is very nice to see. So, and then going into the ability, so first it says this model can fly, which is great. You come to expect that because of the bloody wings of the model. If it couldn't fly, that'd be a shame. Like the Vargolf couldn't used to fly, I think about 3 years ago, something like that. But anyway, so it's always good to have it in writing. Anyway, so going into the rest abilities, we have got this Screwing Strike. So, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with the Screwing Talons is a 6, that inflicts a 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. Okay, so a couple of things here to mention that have changed. So it used to be 2 mortal wounds on the hit roll of a 6+. So just to unwrap a couple of things there. Now it's just 1 mortal wound you're doing. However, it is happening on a flat 6, which I've already explained why that is better than a 6+. On a modified 6 roll of a 6 means that you're always going to get the opportunity to do it. Unless that's a 1% charge, you can't buy. You know, like you're always going to be able to do this, and the enemy's not going to make you minuses to hit via that way. Also, like we said, like I've said many times, you can think of ways to plus to your hit roll, but there's so many ways the enemy can make you minuses that if the enemy made this guy -2 to hit, it's just, you know, made his attacks really, really poor now. So it's nice to see that's unmodified. But it's still only 1 mortal wound you're doing to the enemy on a 6 to hit, and it used to be 2. So the nice thing, what has changed though, is this is in addition to normal damage. So where before if you got a 6 to hit, yeah, you've done 2 mortal wounds to the enemy. But here if you get a 6 to hit, you're still going to make a wound roll, and then the enemy's going to make a save roll. And if they fail that, you've got the chance of doing 3, you know, wounds essentially with each of these attacks instead of 2. So on the upside, I think that attack is better. I mean, in all honesty, when I used to attack this guy, I used to look at his stats and think, oh my god, he's really good. I want to get him into combat because, you know, his attacks are good enough for you to not want to miss out on. However, when I used to do that, for some reason, he never rolled any 6s. I don't even know if he ever rolled any 6s. Maybe once upon a time. And bear in mind, I've used this guy in probably about 40 games, and he never got any 6s to hit, which is down to my luck. However, it was quite annoying, so I'm quite liking that change there. I think it's overall better. I think when I first reviewed this War Scroll, when I did a quick, you know, my reaction to the update or the War Scrolls to the Fleshly Courts, I was skeptical. I thought it wasn't better, but I think it's more reliable, which is why I quite like it. Right, okay, and then going into the next ability, and this is the last ability, and this is the main ability, and this is why you take the Crypt Infernal Courtier to battle. So, what it is Muster Royal Guard. So, in your hero phase, roll 6 dice for each friendly Crypt Infernal Courtier on the battlefield. For each 5+, you can return a 1 slain model to a friendly Crypt Flare unit that is within 10 inches of a Crypt Infernal Courtier. Slain models can be returned to more than 1 unit, if you wish, but each successful dice roll can only be used to return a model to a single unit. Okay, so like I said, this is why I take this guy, because he is going to bring back your Crypt Flares. I've gone through this ability many times. It's very similar to the one for the Crypt Haunter Courtier and the Crypt Ghast Courtier. You know, your Courtier for your Crypt Horrors and your Courtier for your Crypt Ghouls. Exactly the same, but it's targeted for the Crypt Flares. So, essentially what you're doing in your hero phase is that you're going to roll 6 dice to this guy, and for every 5+, you can return a 1 slain Crypt Flare to a Crypt Flare unit that is within 10 inches of him. So that's not like you get to, you know, bring 2 for every 5 you get. There's 2 units. No, it's just for every 5 up, that's 1 slain Crypt Flares that comes back that you can put to one of those units. So it is very, very useful, and this is why you want to take maybe more than one of these guys. I mean, what I would say is that the Vargolf is better, so we'll take that. And of course, you've got the new thing like the Throne and the Archregent, which means that really, do you put them in your list or do you, summon them on? That's a conversation for another time. But, so yes, that ability is super, super good. I usually run, I think when I was taking to tournaments, I'd run 2 of these and a Vargolf. So that means that I would roll like 18 dice to bring back my crit flares. And sometimes I'd roll 18 dice and I'd only bring back 1 crit flare. One time I didn't get any 5s and 6s, and that just meant absolutely terrible. That just meant my really, really beaten up unit of 12 crit flares was down to 3, didn't have any comeback, and they just got destroyed basically. However, there's been times when I've had a unit of 12 and the enemies double turned me, and they've managed to get that down to like a unit of 2, so they managed to kill 10 of them, and through Inspiring Presence I managed to keep them there. However, I've been desperate to get my turn, my hero phase, to be able to bring them back, and then when it is my hero phase, I need to bring back 10, I roll 18 dice, and sometimes bring back, like a good number like 5, sometimes I manage to bring back the whole 10. It really, really does make an impact, and in those situations, it's not that it just affects the battle round one, it really is a game changer. So these guys I highly recommend if you don't have the points to fit in a Vargolf into your list, or you want to use your summoning capabilities for the Fleshly Courts to bring on other things. So yes, I strongly recommend this guy. And then going into his keywords, so we've got Death, Mordant, Fleshly Courts, Courtier, Hero, and Crypt Infernal Courtier. So 2 important ones there are going to be Courtier and Hero. And that's pretty much all I had to say for this guy. I think I've covered the crit flares quite a bit, obviously, in the crit flare video. I think these guys, it's quite standard. If you're taking a lot of crit flares in your army, you're going to be taking this guy, unless you want to go down the heavy Vargolf route, which, like I said, we'll get to the Vargolf in a later video, potentially next video, depending on how I want to do it. So, yes, he is very good. He's pretty cheap as well. 120 points is very good price for this guy, I quite think. And if you're not taking many crit flares in your army, let's say you're taking... I personally think of Fleshly Courts, I like to go heavy with one unit type. So I like to take a lot of Crypt Swords, a lot of Crypt Flares, and Crypt Ghouls. I've taken a lot before, but I don't really enjoy it. But if you're going Crypt Ghouls, I'll take a lot of Crypt Ghouls, or maybe 1 unit of 10 or something like that. A unit of 2 units of 10 for, like battle line reasons or whatever. So, if you are taking a mixture of units in your Fleshly Court army, I would probably say, let's say you're only taking a unit of 3 of these guys as an example. I would take the Vargolf, in all honesty, because I don't think a unit of 3 you can justify taking one of these guys in your list for that reason. If you're taking 6, yeah, maybe. If you're taking a solid unit of 6, then I'd say this guy is definitely worth a consideration. Okay, so that is going to end the video for the Crypt Infernal Courtier. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. So that's absolutely free for you guys to do, and massively, massively helps me. If you, obviously, if you don't enjoy the content, you don't have to do any of that stuff. But if you do enjoy the content, I really, really ask that you do that, because that really does show, it really does help the channel out. And it's an amazing job, and like I say, it's free for you to do so. If you want to help out the channel a step further, what I have done now is to set up a Patreon account, and essentially it's a way for me to be able to put more into these videos and be able to do more of them without putting advertisement on these videos, because like I've said many times before, I don't want advertisement on this channel for as long as I can help it. So Patreon is another way for me to be able to get a little bit of income to help towards battle tomes, because I say they're quite expensive. Put money towards a microphone, a better one than this one, because this has got static, what I've said before, which I don't really like and I want to replace. And also things like a camera, so I can do unboxings, things like even just hobby and chats, those sort of things. I can work on things when I chat to you guys, and answer your questions, those sort of things, and things like battle reports, and trying to get a few of those done, because I really did enjoy that. I only sort of test it out when I did a couple, but I really would be quite a nice thing to get a bit more into on the channel. So and basically it really, really helps me be able to justify putting in more time into making these videos, as of course on YouTube you don't get paid. So basically this income really sort of encourages me to be able to make these videos. So on that note, I would like to thank the patrons I've got. So these are patrons in the vampire category, so it's the tier 2 category, and these are people who donate $5 a month to me, and this is going to be Max, Simon and Kyle. So I want to thank you guys very much for your support again. Like I say, the money you'll give me is saving up so I can put towards all those things I mentioned before, and hopefully it won't be too long until I can get them and we can really start seeing some results, which would be really nice to see. So I'm going to put a link to the Patreon in the description below, so you guys can please just check it out. It'd be absolutely amazing if you can. If you can't afford to do so, absolutely fine. I'm just really glad that you've watched this video, and if you can't afford to, donate on Patreon, like I said, that's fine. But like I said, if you're not a subscriber and you do enjoy the content, what I'd like you to do instead is just subscribe. It really, really does help out the channel, and like I said, it's absolutely free for you guys to do so. Also, if you're interested in Discord, I have got a Discord channel which I'm putting a link to in all of the descriptions of my videos now, so you can find it on there, where we chat about hobby and all those sorts of things as well. And I think that's pretty much it. I think also, on another note, with your comments on YouTube, I've been going around trying to respond to them, even if it's just giving it a like or something like that, or comment. If you've asked me any questions I haven't replied to it, please let me know, and I'll go back to it and do so, as there's been a little bit of a backlog on that front, so apologies about that, but I think I've got to the bottom of it now. Right, so that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys very much have enjoyed it. I thank you very much for watching, and remember, until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.